This episode of Dead Man Walking is brought to you
Whoa,
by...
we're not called Dead Man Walking. We're called Quantum Dead Man Walking.
You've just entered the Quantum Zone.
It's quantum-tastic.
Quantonium, boys!
I'm done.
We've hit the mother lode!
Wrong, and you should just hit yourself in the face until you change your mind.
The gold standard for dumb storytelling.
Netflix doesn't make real movies.
But controversy.
Marco 2020.
Benny Doodle Cummerbund.
Good job, Luke. You did it.
What? His creepy lip. What?
I'm the new Kool-Aid Man. I'm Dan.
I'm Louie.
And we just saw a movie.
Called Ant Man.
And the Wasp.
You know, they say that sequels are rarely as good as the original, but Ant Man and the Wasp begs to differ.
That's changing a bit. I don't know. There's been a lot of really good sequels we've been getting lately.
I would classify this as one of them.
This is one of them.
Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly return to reprise their roles as in a Marvel story arc that was and honestly still is being roundly criticized for being tangential, redundant, and unnecessary. Like, seriously, all of the reviews are like, it's a good movie, but... Seriously.
But it breaks the feature presentation to tell a story about...
but they're like, oh, it's disposable. You don't need to watch it. What world have we entered in where it's like the movie needs to be absolutely vital to every other film for it to be worthwhile? I don't approve.
Disposable.
So in round
It's
two...
entertaining. That doesn't sound disposable.
It's disposable,
That's
Dan.
why you go
it's
to
not necessary to the MCU continuity.
That's why you go to the movie theater. That's dumb. Whoever said that's dumb.
A lot of people are saying it. A lot of people are dumb. I'm not saying
That's like,
dumb.
okay, by that logic, the entire MCU is disposable. You might as well not go see the whole thing because it's not pertinent to your life.
To be fair, Edward Norton's Hulk movie was super disposable. Just forget all about that.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't
all right.
great.
It wasn't great. I mean, yeah,
Ang Lee set the bar pretty low.
You could skip it since it isn't even the same actor playing Bruce Banner.
I'm just going to forget about that. So, in round two, Scott Lang is under house arrest for helping Captain America punch Iron Man and is slowly putting his life back together as a single dad and a small business owner, which honestly is kind of cool because single dads who are actually good at being dads is not something you get to see on the big screen much.
And it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and they make a really good
great.
point of emphasizing. Like, single moms get the VIP treatment from Hollywood, and they got Karate Kid, Iron Giant, the freaking Terminator movies. Single dads, like, single moms deserve it, don't get me wrong. But single dads, like, we get Tim Allen as Santa Claus. That's about it. That's about it.
Tim Allen, baby. Yeah. Scott Lang, cool. He's under house arrest. Hank and Hope Pym are on the run doing sciencey things. Spooky ghost woman is after the science. The FBI is incredibly dubious of Scott. Some techie criminal businessman wants the Pym science.
Hold on, okay. So the Pyms are after their own science. The ghost lady is after their science. The FBI is after their science. And generic, like, criminal gangster baddie is also after the science.
There's a lot of...
I want that tech.
This movie is not quite as straightforward as, like, the previous Ant-Man movie. Like, there's a lot
like
of...
that.
Yeah, oh, it's great. It's all over the place. There's a lot of characters all jumping in with their own motivation.
It does really well walking the line between touching and just straight up goofy.
Yeah.
It's basically a comedy, and it's really funny.
Scott's previous boys in crime try to start a legitimate business called X-Con. Just their security
because they're criminals. Yeah. Or they used to be.
Right. Scott's daughter Cassie has show and tell coming up. Janet Van Dyne might be alive. Quantum Realm. Antics ensue. That's the movie. That's the whole movie.
It really is. I mean, the plot breaks down a little in the final act, but the ride you're on getting there, it makes it forgivable. You also get the obligatory tie-ins of the greater MCU, even though Ant-Man can handily exist on its own, which, like we said, is apparently something that people aren't happy about, but I feel like is actually a really good thing. Like, you don't.
Well, they use the events of Civil War to set up this movie very, very well, and then the movie takes off on its own.
I mean, as a couple of the people who actually enjoyed the first Ant-Man film, at least I feel like it keeps the MCU honest.
It totally keeps it intact. This does nothing.
He isn't saving skyscrapers or fighting aliens or trying to figure out who he's going to take to the prom. Ant-Man's just your average working Joe superhero. Just a regular dude in way over his head. And honestly, it makes the whole concept of Ant-Man a little less absurd and a little more just... Can we call superheroes adorable? Is that okay?
There was a lot of adorable aspects of this movie.
A lot of adorableness. It was totes adorbs.
I get that this is coming right after Infinity War, which was the entire universe at stake. And in this movie, it's really only like a few lives that are ever in danger.
Guys, let's go steal some stuff and go VoIP ourselves to another
And that's
dimension.
fine. And it's reassuring because it means that Marvel in the future, they're not afraid to go smaller, mind the pun.
Sometimes the small stuff is more fun than the big stuff.
Deadpool proved this correctly.
That was what I was going to say, was Ant-Man is probably, like, the dry humor, the calling out, the over-the-top shenanigans, he's the closest thing the MCU is ever going to get to a Deadpool stand-in. Like, that subtle wink and nod to the audience when the scientists just start blathering what's clearly made-up technobabble. Like the
winking to the audience without straight up talking to the audience, of course.
And also without just being like a foul, murderous psychopath. But it's the closest thing you're gonna get. It's silly, it's schmaltzy, and it's well done. Like, he keeps it honest. It's like, hey guys, this is a little ridiculous, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Absolutely, it's wonderful. It highlights all the things Marvel Studios has done right, without relying too much on formula. Like I said, this isn't a very straightforward story. The villain in it, like Ghost, she isn't really front and center as like the main antagonist.
Honestly, she's not the greatest villain.
No, she's not.
Even the original comic book version wasn't the greatest villain.
But she wasn't awful either. I mean, she kind of worked.
She could walk through stuff.
Yeah.
It's just
I'll get into it a little bit.
Kitty
like
Pryde, but depressed.
Some of the problems I had with her, it was more her presentation than anything.
Now, Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly have really good chemistry, and Michael Douglas is like the perfect Hank Pym for the MCU. In the comics, Hank is just like this insufferable egomaniac with an abrasive personality, and Douglas makes it work very well as the self-absorbed, brilliant curmudgeon that everyone just hates.
It's great. It's fantastic. You see him just rubbing shoulders with people in the worst way possible.
No, screw you. Don't touch that. Give me that.
All the time.
Michael Pena is freaking hilarious. I feel like I haven't seen him in anything else besides like Fury.
Was he supposed to be a direct? Was he lifted from the comics at all?
I don't
Louie?
think so.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't read a ton of Ant Man.
I'm really glad that he has as much screen time as he does in this movie. He's hilarious.
All the his two random like wingmen in the ex-con security company. It's just like got this black guy and this Russian guy. They're just funny to watch. Like just day-to-day nonsense.
You know, for like a hodgepodge criminal group, they are the most diverse like group of friends. It's weird.
It really is. You got Walter Goggins there. It's like your typecast dynamic villain with a southern drawl, but he does it well. Honestly, even the kid playing Scott Lang's daughter does really good. Normally, you don't really care about child actors. You just want them to leave.
I love that about this movie.
I was like, wow, this kid can act.
She's fantastic. She's one of my favorite side characters, actually, every time she's on screen.
The weakest link, ironically, I think, is Michelle Pfeiffer, who doesn't have a ton of screen time, but just feels like you're watching a mannequin.
That's another thing I was about to say. Michelle Pfeiffer, I didn't realize until after I saw this movie, she's on the poster for it. Like, she's advertised in this movie. She's not in it very much.
It took me like, oh, that's Michelle Pfeiffer? It's not that she's aged badly. She's just aged weird. I mean, overall, I think the story is much tighter, has much better ups and downs than the first one. The dialogue is sharp. The action sequences are just so much fun to like. Everything
there's great. There's all these size shifting visual gags that go into play.
There's just so much stuff going on in the background. Like it's all Jackie Chan style of fighting, where they're just using the environment to beat each other with.
It's great. It's so colorful.
You saw the trailer. A Pez dispenser is weaponized, and it's fantastic.
Oh, and for a movie where like things are shrinking and growing. The CG needs to be good, and it does live up.
There were a couple of weak points that I'm going to talk about later, but overall, it had Marvel level of quality.
Right. Kind of what you expect.
It's not really breaking the Marvel mold in any particular way worth mentioning, but it's just a fun movie to watch.
The fact that the Wasp is in it just right away doing stuff. She was fun to watch, I thought. Michael Pena's ADD moments.
Pena. Say it with me. Pena. There you
go. There's also an FBI agent asking Scott about card tricks.
Danny Woo!
Oh, it's great. There's
Sorry,
a lot.
Woo,
there's
played
a
by
lot.
Randall Park, who is also a criminally underused actor in so many things. He's a funny guy.
There's a lot to love here. There's Marvel in Infinity War. It had a whole bunch of really epic characters that it's trying to juggle and telling its story with. In this one,
it's literally a movie about people who are bad at their jobs.
Yeah. It's a lot of instead of dysfunctional people.
Job.
And it's funny because after seeing this, you sort of see why Ant-Man wasn't in Infinity War. It's because he doesn't really fit that mold very well, and that's fine. That's great, actually.
What do? I get small and I get big again.
The soundtrack, as on par with Marvel, was nothing memorable. But it serviced the movie well.
That's what I'm saying. Like visuals, production budget, soundtrack, location, set, all that stuff. It's just like it's boilerplate Marvel production.
Yeah,
that's not what makes this film. It's the dialogue, it's the actors, it's the characters that make this movie. Oh, let's spoil the heck out of this.
Spoil it. After all, you can't look up Ant Man and the Wasp without the first 5 articles being just Ant Man and the Wasp ending explained,
as if it needed any explanation.
Why is that with every movie? Who cares? You can't just.
Well, let's start out with the good. All
right.
With a couple of exceptions, I think the acting. The whole shtick of Ant-Man is relatively self-aware lampooning of their own universe and just the goofiness in everyday life. And I think it requires some real commitment to both deadpan delivery and good chemistry with the actors, all of which is present. Like the outtakes for this movie are going to be hilarious.
I wouldn't say it completely lampoons the MCU. I think there's more that they could do with that.
It's subtle. It's not as on the nose as Deadpool is, and it's not meant to be.
Right. It's got its own style, and it's sticking with it.
I mean, I mentioned before how I really like them putting the effort into giving the spotlights to single dads, highlighting for a change healthy relationship transitions. Like he's not constantly fighting with his ex-wife, which is a good thing, especially for the kid. Mm-hmm. Scott and Hope need to work as a team and trust each other, which is the theme for every superhero team-up movie ever, but it also makes some gentle pushes about it being important just for melding families together. It's like, this is the basic stuff you got to work out when you're not wearing tights.
Something I loved that Scott's relationship with his daughter, Cassie, is adorable. And she, like we said, the actress playing the daughter is so endearing and funny that you actually care, which is something rare for a character like that. Like just this side character, like, oh, I have a daughter. And we get like a couple shots of said daughter.
And you look at your movie emotion checklist is, okay, they have a family. Check. I am prepared to be heartbroken about their family.
I'm actually thinking back to Tomb Raider. Every time Lara Croft had a flashback to Daddy, there was so many of them, but he didn't have any character moments that made us think, oh yeah, that's a cool dad. Like, I like this guy. Like, no.
It's like, okay, that's Dad. I get it.
Yeah.
Dad.
That wasn't the case with Cassie here. Cassie Lang, she's funny. She makes like great faces at stuff. Her tastes are in like things is unique. She seems to enjoy ugly things for some reason.
She likes bugs.
Yeah, she likes bugs. She likes, well, it was in the first movie. He like gives her this really like ugly doll as a gift. And she's like, it's so ugly. I love it.
Yeah,
she just has a certain charm to her. That's great.
The whole movie does. This is off this wall, quirky, bizarre setup, and it embraces it without going in so over the top that it becomes stupid.
Right. The story's protagonists, we said, they're pretty dysfunctional. Yet we root for them. The struggles are real.
Honestly, I really like the background characters too. Like Jimmy Woo is freaking hilarious. He's just like this dopey office drone who's a little more aware of things than people realize, but doesn't really have the good luck or the
FBI agent
inclination to do anything about it.
He's the FBI agent that is
can't quite lock it down.
That is he's in charge of he's trying to find Hank Pym and Hope, and And he's also the one that keeps checking in on Scott Lang under house arrest, because at the beginning of the movie, his leg accidentally sticks out of the fence, and they have to all come swarming in. And he has this fun scene with Cassie, and it's just like, oh, you're clearly not good with kids, are you? As he goes on some long rant to her that's all legalistic babble.
It's all that little side stuff that makes it fun. Like the supporting characters, the guys at the security company, the Indian truth serum guy, all the truth serum stuff in general.
There's a lot of good long-running jokes throughout there. There's the truth serum thing.
The car wash thing.
The car wash, the undercarriage.
Who are you? Why do you know so much about car wash protocol? Just like random stuff in there that it comes back and self-references in a way that's actually funny. And I think a large part of that, again, is because the actors are doing a good job and having fun making the movie. You can tell when an actor doesn't want to be in a film.
We said before the supervillain wasn't our greatest. I mean, she was no Vulture, she was no Killmonger, but it was interesting to me because the supervillain wasn't really evil. She didn't have any like big dumb scheme to take over everything. Her part in this, it was small, like a lot of the other characters. And she was just more willing to do bad things because she just was in pain and didn't want to die.
The actress was good, but the villain just had a weak storyline that felt really out of step with the rest of the film. I think that's the upshot.
Right.
It's like you have this like upbeat, la-di-da, goofy film, and then I'm trying to save myself from horrible, agonizing death, and I'm gonna kill you to prevent it. Whoa, pump the brakes there.
But she wasn't like twirl the mustache evil sort of thing. And the fact that her associate was Lawrence Fishburne, and he even says to her at one point, like, look, I'm going to work with you as much as I can, but if you're going to kidnap this girl, like, that's crossing a line. Like, I've let you do a lot of bad things.
The fact that Lawrence Fishburne is not only in this film, but part of a gag involving pills is all you need to know.
Wow. Oh, yeah. My point there was that they did something slightly different with the villain, and I'm glad that it wasn't just somebody that needed to die.
The film didn't really have a villain,
and that was fine.
It's like you have Ghost.
It was just a lot of different players in it.
Yeah, but it really wasn't a villain because Ghost is just trying to keep herself from dying. Lawrence Fishburne's just trying to help Ghost not die and not kill anyone else. The gangster guy is like clearly a bad guy, but he's clearly just has more fun rolling around. What is this? Los Angeles, San Francisco?
San Francisco, yeah.
And like his
it's very clearly San Francisco. The chase scene is
on the hills. Yeah, I don't know. It's California.
It's California.
I mean, you got like the FBI agent who is also not the bad guy.
Who's just doing government stuff.
Yeah, he's just
trying to
stuff.
accomplish the government things. And but he's also human. Like I said, the card trick thing comes into play, and he's like, "What? Can you show me how to do that card trick?"
Now, there was some stuff that was pretty rough about this film, and for me, it all came at the end. I just hated everything about the resolution to this movie.
Getting into the bad.
Michelle Pfeiffer, they had like a different lady act as Janet Van Dyne, Hank Pym's like wife / girlfriend / partner person in the first film, and they're like, oh, now that they're actually a real character, we got to put somebody famous in there. And so they drag out Michelle.
We never saw her face in the first movie.
That's what I'm saying, but it was played by somebody else. So they drag out Michelle Pfeiffer because she's kind of older, but also not ugly, so I guess she can be a superhero. I don't know what their logic is there. She just appears magically in the quantum realm after having existed for 30 years without, like, damaging her makeup at all, somehow finding a bathrobe to drape over her supersuit in the process, and complete with these glowy E.T. fingers, proceeds to completely placate, heal, and pacify the villain in the process while uttering some of the corniest lines in the film. It was meant to be this serious, heartwarming moment, and I literally started laughing in the theater to the point where my friend had to punch me to get me to stop. I couldn't help it. And they start to refer to quantum healing energy as a thing, which apparently you can just go into the quantum realm and scoop up with a big cup. Go get some quantum energy juice.
Yeah, that's gonna come into play somehow in Infinity War. We'll see.
Speaking of Infinity War,
is that part of your bad?
Yes.
Here we go.
Hold on, let's just get...
Let me just sit in for the long haul
Let's
here.
just get this out of the way. The scene that all the articles are talking about is the very last scene in the film involves them sending Ant-Man back in to get his...
It's a very straightforward scene. It doesn't need explain.
It really doesn't. It's like, if you've seen Infinity War, you know what's going on. Like, he's in there with his cup of magical quantum juice, and then all of a sudden, Thanos makes a snap decision... And Hank Pym, Janet Van Dyne, and Hope all get turned into cat litter, and Scott's stuck in the quantum realm. And it's just like, I just think it's a dumb cliffhanger, because it's like, if you needed any more evidence that everyone who's getting vaporized is coming back, well, you shouldn't have needed any evidence to begin with.
That's not really that big of a deal that they're coming back. I'm going to reiterate this. It's not a problem to me.
I just think there's no risk involved. It removes any semblance of danger. I know they have to do it, but it just really derailed the end of the film for me. It's like, oh, and by the way, we're part of this other series, guys. Again, we've basically returned to the days of the 1930s film serials where everything has to be looping into the next thing. And that's why people don't like this film. It's because, like, oh, it doesn't fit in with the MCU enough. It's like, you know what?
For the most part, people are liking this movie. At least I haven't talked to anybody that have seen it that said they didn't.
I'm talking about, like, from a critical reaction. From a critic's perspective, critics have been saying this. Oh, it's extraneous. It's redundant.
It's not redundant.
It bugs me that it's like, to try and do the lip service to the greater series, we have to go through the whole Infinity War plot line. It's like, okay, we get it. Now we got to wait 2 years for them to resolve all of this.
The tie-in to the greater series is fine. I really liked Infinity War, and whatever the next part of that is involving this, I'm just going to wait and see how they resolve it.
I like Infinity War. I like the MCU. I just don't like that particular plot MacGuffin. I didn't like it in the comics either. That's completely me, and I fully admit that.
It just, the end credits scene, it just means that, Ant-Man, basically he's stuck in the quantum realm, and the quantum realm is going to have something to do with the next movie, as if the trippy scenes with Thanos weren't enough. We're going to get quantum trippy as well.
So yeah, if you needed it explained, you're stupid. I'm sorry that no one's told you up until this point.
This is true. You are stupid if you needed it explained. And for all the people who are posting this explained,
what happened?
You are literally the clickbait monsters that just
are ruining the internet.
Are ruining, yes,
because whether you love the Infinity War plotline or whether you're mildly frustrated by it like I am, it's pretty darn clear what's going on. So please, stop clicking on those articles. What was ugly about this film?
I didn't say my bad. All we did was listen to your dumb rants.
You're ugly about this film.
I just want to say, we talked about Ghost a little bit. Ghost presentation could have been better. I was okay with her motivation. She did an okay job acting. She went a little overboard sometimes with just the...
I'm dying in horrible pain!
And that might have been better if the tone switched up to being a little more suspenseful when she showed up. Because the thing is, she has a role in the story similar to the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Where she's not, she's not anything huge, but she's this...
she's been used and abused.
Right. And so I didn't find her action scenes all that impressive. They weren't that funny. Stuff. Yeah, she just walks through stuff. She's just like, oh man, this is somebody who, is harder to fight. And
you can't hit what you can't hit.
The like Russian guy refers to her at one point, and it's kind of funny. He refers to her as the Baba Yaga. I feel like she could have done a little more to earn the name Ghost. Like I said, give her maybe a few more like suspenseful scenes, maybe jump scares. I don't know. Like give her something more of like a dark, spookier, like a dark and foreboding presence when she shows up. Like there's ways that she could have been more menacing. I think that would have really helped her be a little more memorable. It's just that presentation of her. Yeah. Everything else could be. Part of that was going back to the music. I felt like when she showed up, the soundtrack couldn't make up their mind. Like at one point, it was just, keeping with like the same rhythm. Another point, there was like a little bit of a choir going on when she showed up. And then another time, it was just the signature orchestral hit.
Marvel movies have to get their sound, like their music stuff in order. Because right now, Stinks.
With certain characters, they do it fine. Captain America kind of has his own theme when he shows up. Black Panther obviously does.
I still remember the music from the first Iron Man movie. I could not tell you a single other moments in like the MCU where like they had cool music for when Iron Man showed up. Like the early one had like that industrial metal music. It was like, oh yeah, this is cool as Iron Man.
Well, yeah, and then after Avengers, Iron Man just kind of became AC/DC is his theme. Or they start playing, something similar to that.
Not even like straight up AC/DC, like the off-brand cover band in the grocery store checkout aisle that your grandma gets you for Christmas, AC/DC.
Who else? Wait, I'm trying to think. I think there's another one. Well, Guardians of the Galaxy, they do have a very distinct theme. But it's kind of... It becomes overshadowed by all the other music that goes with Guardians of the Galaxy. The last bad I have in here is a little more simple. The Wasp's blasters. I wish they got a little bit more of an explanation.
It just does random things at random times.
Like, are they stun guns? What kind of energy are they expelling? Like, was it just,
Are they lasers? Or is it electricity?
There is nothing about
blow stuff up.
All of the made up pin science that suggests blasters at all. That's my problem. It feels very like Saturday morning cartoony.
There are some things in the film that were under-explained that could have done with more explanation. There were other things that were over-explained, like the quantum machine. Just telling me that it goes with the quantum realm is fine. You don't have to rattle off all the technical specifications.
I didn't get too bogged down with over-explaining stuff. I think over-explaining is something that Marvel has been getting away from, mainly because they've been getting away from origin stories. Mm-hmm. Which is refreshing. But yeah, like I said, it's just the blasters in particular. It just sticks with me because the rest of Wasp is great. The rest of Wasp flying around doing stuff, it's fun. Like Evangeline Lilly gives us the payoff of seeing the Wasp outfit at the end of the first movie.
Yeah,
like right away. So that was fine. Just blasters. Okay, so. What was ugly?
The CGI was rough in some parts. Especially everything involving the ants was really...
there was just so much of it, I guess.
The more I think about it, I'm not sure how they really could have done any better. Like, it's ants. What are you going to do? Like, you're kind of limited to that concept. And short of pulling a Rian Johnson and killing off half of the characters for no reason and declaring all previous plot lines null and void, it's what you get.
Someone made a point that Jurassic Park gets away with kind of mixing CG and animatronics, and it's a little easier because nobody knew what dinosaurs looked like anyway.
It's true.
So it was just easier for them to be like, this is the dinosaurs. But we know what ants look like. You ain't fooling us.
But I mean, it's like, how are you going to blow up an ant to the size of a large dog and still make it look normal? It's like,
and not make it look terrifying.
It is what it is.
Right. For me, you already reiterated this, and you're bad. But Michelle Pfeiffer, again, I'm more annoyed, not necessarily the story aspect of it, but when she shows up, I'm not excited to see Janet in the next movie. Like I was...
You don't care.
Because, right, at the end of the Ant Man, when you see the Wasp suit, you're like, oh, cool, the Wasp, it's got wings. It's great. Like, this is gonna... That's something to look forward to. But with Janet, it was like, what's her shtick?
You could literally replace Janet Van Dyne with, like, a box of very special microscopes, and it wouldn't change the plot at all.
Very special microscopes?
For science.
Look under this,
we can use these microscopes to help heal ghosts. Oh no, I gotta break all the microscopes. Don't break the microscopes. You need them. I'm gonna break the microscopes.
We gotta get the microscopes and the petri dishes that go with them. They're the lock and key.
Dad, we found out where the microscopes are. She just doesn't serve any purpose.
It would have been cooler if he went into Hank Pym goes into the quantum realm and their quantum realm ship thing and
fights off some water bears. It looks pretty sweet.
It looks goofy. It looks trippy and weird. And he gets down there and finds her, and that's it. They hug, and it's kind of expected. She looks like she has some kind of tool on her back, and it, like
that was her wing. That was
part of her wings. Oh, okay. And there's no words as to like how she survived,
where she got the bathrobe,
what she's been doing all this time,
how she ate,
any of this. I wish like there would have been the introduction of some quantum monster, and then she comes in like kills it or something, or doing some kind of weird quantum realm thing to make her look cool.
Instead, she's like, "Oh hey, my Uber's here. Let's go."
Right, and then she comes back and she's like quantum magic, and that's.
I can feel your pain.
And it just feels hokey compared to the rest of it. So once
Stupidly
again,
hokey, not enjoyably hokey.
I'm more looking forward to seeing the rest of these characters in another movie. They're going to need to do something else to convince me that Janet Van Dyne is someone worth caring about.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, but and she will definitely be in a future film.
Yeah.
So they're gonna try to do something.
Honestly, though, the ugliest thing about this film, bar none, was the undercarriage of that bad guy's SUV.
Oh man,
absolutely
filthy.
It
was so filthy. Dude, you
Disgusting.
have no idea. We get smaller, we see all the details. It is nasty.
He should have gotten the full package of the car wash. So, coming up...
Oh, to tell you, Michael Pena.
Let's go. What about him?
He was in The Martian. That's the other movie he was in.
Oh,
he's pretty good in that.
That's right. I remember that now.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen Fury, so I don't know about that one, but he's in The Martian. That's the other thing he's in. All right.
I was like, coming up...
Continue.
We're not going to lie, guys. The pickings are slim. We have the Skyscraper movie, a.k.a. The Rock hangs off of a tall building for 2 hours. Hotel Transylvania 3.
Just like
a bunch of people.
We've already done this before. It's Die Hard on steroids.
It's a rough summer after this. There's nothing good coming out. We've got like Equalizer 2, Mamma Mia 2.
Oh, Dark Web. That's what we want to see. Unfriended 2.
Oh, Fallout. Mission Impossible.
Guys, listen, I have a confession to make. I am going to be gone on like a month-long thing. I don't know if Lewis wants to sit here and just talk to himself.
I don't know why, because you're going to be missing absolutely nothing. Because the Mission Impossible movie is it.
I am going to be missing the Mission Impossible movie, and I couldn't be happier that I don't have to watch Mission Impossible Fallout, because we have not stopped seeing trailers for Mission Impossible Fallout.
Seriously.
I'm tired of seeing Tom Cruise's dumb mug.
Doesn't matter what movie it is.
It could be a kid's movie.
It was for Ocean's 8.
It could be a horror movie.
Every other trailer was about chick flicks. Then Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible Fallout. It's like, all right, I get it, and I already hate it. The pickings are slim. Maybe you'll see us before September. Maybe you won't.
Oh, Black KKK Klansman, however you say the title of that one.
Klansman.
Klansman.
It looks interesting, but it doesn't look fantastic.
I actually want to see that. I'm going to be disappointed that I'm gone for that one. You just saw Sicario for the first time, and the second one of those is out, even though it's definitely not going to be as good.
I'll be honest, the only movie that's coming out before September that I'm even remotely looking forward to is the freaking Winnie the Pooh film. That's it. And that's literally just because the trailer Winnie the Pooh sounds like a hopeless nihilist, and it makes me laugh every single time.
Ewan McGregor's great, too.
He is great.
He's pretty great. He's having the most fun in Hollywood, I think.
There's also the Meg. Jaws on just some
the Meg,
horrible cocaine mix.
The Meg is to Jaws what Skyscraper is to Die Hard, I think.
It's just more.
It's just bigger. We gotta make it more, you guys.
Hey, you might see us.
The Chinese market likes it more.
You might see us before September. You might not. Either way, we'll still be Dead Man Walking.
Quantum Dead Man Walking.